What's going on YouTube? So as you know, the German automakers have really large lineups of vehicles, and that's especially true of Audi. They have rapidly expanded their lineup of crossovers to satisfy our SUV-hungry world, and this all-new Q5 Sportback is the latest example. So is this Coupe-ified version of their bestseller a great alternative to the status quo? Let's go ahead and find out. So with this new Sportback version of the Q5, most of the action is happening in the rear areas, not so much with the front, which looks mostly like the regular Q5. That's not to say there are no differences though. As you can see, the grille does look a bit different. We have a different finish inside with these little chrome accenting, which really just makes it look a bit more like the SQ5 versus the Q5. Lots of letters going on here. Now coming over here to the headlights, these are going to be standard full LED headlights. As you can see, it's the updated design from the refreshed Q5, and if you choose the top-end Prestige model, you will have matrix LED headlights with dynamic turn signals. Now when it comes to the wheel options, you've got several different choices you can pick between. This is going to come standard with a 19-inch contrast alloy. What we have on this specific example is a 20-inch silver alloy as an option. And then furthermore, you can get a 21-inch contrast alloy via the Sport package if you want the most dynamic look for your Sportback. And then rising up here to your mirrors, all but the very base Q5 Sportback will come fully loaded with all the features. So that is going to include auto dimming, power folding, heating, and blind spot monitoring.
Now up in the front, there isn't a lot of change for the Q5 Sportback, but here at the side and the rear, that's where you're actually going to start to see the difference and, what exactly are you going to get for the Q5 Sportback. Now, the main thing is going to be this right here. You'll see this sloping roof back design. It gives it a sportier and cooler appearance than just the regular Q5, which some of you might think is a little bit more bland. So you get this more sporty look that really does look pretty neat. Now, as far as some of the individual design elements that you're going to get, one of the cool things that I've noticed is you have like this piece right here that kind of comes down from the spoiler to give it an even more coupe-like look. And then if we drop down, this part is going to be pretty much regular Q5, so we have the silver piece intersecting between the taillights, and these are going to be full LED brake light as well as the turn signal. It is dynamic, I promise. I don't know why it's not doing it right now. And then if we drop down, we do have an incandescent reverse light, and then you're not going to have exposed exhaust outlets on any Q5 Sportback. Now with the Q5 Sportback, you're not going to have all of your safety systems standard on every single model. However, you will have standard forward emergency braking, rear auto braking, as well as your auto high beam headlamps. Now, if you go for a Premium Plus trim or higher, that will also throw in your adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist. Well guys, that's going to sum up the exterior design of this Q5 Sportback. As you can see, it's pretty different on the outside, but now let's go ahead and check out the inside before we take it out in a spin. And before we do all of that, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below.
So on the new Q5 Sportback, of course, you will find Audi's intelligent entry system, standard on the Premium Plus or above, and optional on this Premium via the convenience package. And then to get inside the vehicle itself, of course, all you have to do is just reach behind the handle and it will unlock. Alright, and taking a look inside of this cabin, you'll basically see the same updates from the refreshed Q5 that, of course, came out a few months ago. So let's start out with our different interior color and material options. Now, just like every other Audi, you do have a standard real leather seat, and that's going to be in your choice of black, copy brown, Atlas beige, or rock gray. And one of those 2021 updates for the entire Q5 lineup is the fact that you now have color contrast stitching and piping on all of those color options. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is very nicely finished. We don't have the leather trim since we have the low-end model, but we do have a padded armrest as well as above it. You do have a new open pore wood trim option, that's just now on the Q5, and it is padded on the top. We also have 2-person memory seating, and all 4 windows are one-touch automatic. Now heading down here to your seats, these are going to be 8-way power adjusting with 4-way lumbar support as well as a manual thigh extension. And one of the differences from the regular Q5 is that the Sportback will come standard with the sport seat. So as you can see, we do have a wider bolster, a more contoured design here, and I do really like the stitching design overall. Now, like I already mentioned, this is basically your typical Q5 design plus those 2021 updates. So across the upper dash, this will be finished in a soft touch plastic. As we move down to the middle area, we have the open pore wood that runs all across the entire thing. As we move down, we do have more of that wood that runs through here. You have the new piano black trim through this middle portion. And on this premium, it is just going to be hard touch right through here. However, the upper end models will come with a leather padding here as well as on the door trim. And then to start up, put your foot on the brake and press the standard button. Now taking a look at the gauges, I am quite surprised to see an Audi that does not have virtual cockpit. It's kind of rare these days, but if you choose the base model of this Q5 Sportback, you will not get virtual cockpit. That's going to come on the other 2 trim levels. As far as these, you actually have just a really simple but classy look to the analog gauges, and then you have a 7-inch display right there in the middle where you can cycle through various kinds of information. You would also have a head-up display with the top-end Prestige model. Now coming back here to the steering wheel, this is your typical Q5 steering wheel with electric power assisted steering. As far as the wheel itself, it is going to be manual tilt and telescoping until you get to the Prestige model. And we do have steering wheel heating on board with this convenience package. Let's go ahead and talk about interior storage, because that does not change from the regular Q5, even though this is more stylish. So you start out, you have a little bin right here in the front. You can lift up your center console here, and that's how much storage you get. It's not overwhelmingly large, but it is decent. You do have a USB Type-C inside, and we can try to stick in our coupons here. They're not really going to fit well. You can adjust this to be a little bit taller, but as you can see, they'll still be exposed, so that's not ideal if you're a little bit embarrassed by your couponing. This slides back to reveal your 2 cup holders as well. Up in front of that, we have this little storage area right here. We've got a little slit right there, and then you have another little storage area right in the very front there next to another USB and a 12-volt outlet. Alright, now taking a look at the shifter, this is the same electronic shifter as the regular Q5, so just pull back for drive, bump to the right for manual shifting, which you can do right here, or via the standard paddle shifters. Of course, going up to R is going to activate reverse, where we do have a standard backup camera. This is just the regular version, but we do have active trajectory, as well as front and rear parking sensors. And then if you choose the Premium Plus trim level or the Prestige model, that's going to throw in the 360-degree camera system. Then for park, just press the P right there, and you do have the electronic parking brake right behind it. And now let's head on over here to our volume knob. So being the base model, we do have the basic sound system, the 180-watt 10-speaker sound system, which comes standard on the base Premium and the Premium Plus trim level. Otherwise, you could get a 755-watt 19-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system, but we'll go ahead and give this a sample right now. So overall sound quality is not too bad, but of course if you're a big audiophile, then definitely consider upgrading to that Bang & Olufsen. Alright, so let's move up to the climate control next. So this is a 3-zone automatic climate control setup. Again, the same as what you have seen in many other Audis before. So you've got your your temperature adjustments with those knobs there. These are touch sensitive buttons to adjust your zones as well as your fan speeds. And then off to the side we do have standard 3-stage heated seats on all models. Ventilated seats are available as an option on Premium Plus or Standard on the Prestige. And then we come up to our new MMI infotainment system. So just like with the refresh Q5, you now have a 10.1-inch touchscreen to control the MMI system. And this is running the newest version of that software. As you can see, very nice and responsive with the newest graphics. We don't have navigation on this specific example. As you can see, you do have to upgrade to get a model with virtual cockpit to have the navigation system on board. However, you do still have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and then Apple CarPlay does run wirelessly on this system. Moving above that, we do have an auto-dimming mirror. And then turning over here, we do have a standard panoramic sunroof. So I'm definitely very happy to see this because I know a lot of Sportback models, they reduce the size of the moonroof or just give you a standard size moonroof due to the sloping of the back, but Audi has managed to give you enough headroom and still preserve the panoramic sunroof.
Alrighty guys, so I'm in the Q5 Sportback's rear seat, and as far as the space is concerned, my first impression is actually a very good one because I'm really not feeling that this is much different than a just regular Audi Q5. Now, Audi hasn't released the official measurements for this Q5 Sportback, so we're not exactly sure how it's going to stack up against the regular Q5, but like I said, about the same, and that's going to be rated at 38 inches of legroom and 39 inches of headroom, which I assume might be reduced a little bit for the Sportback model. Now, as far as behind rear seating position, I would say probably 4 inches of rear legroom, and my feet can slide up underneath the seat, so certainly pretty comfortable. And then here in the center, we do have vents. That's going to be standard on all the models, and we also have our third climate zone down here. If you opt for a higher end model, you will have heated rear seats. And then if we drop down below that, we have 2 charging USB ports and then a 12-volt power outlet. And then we can also fold down the center armrest, and that has cup holders inside, and you can also get rear window sunshades. Now walking up to the Q5 Sportback's cargo area, you are going to have a standard hands-free power tailgate, which is a pretty nice touch. So just wave your foot under the bumper to open it up. And looking in this cargo area, typically this is where these SUV coupe models kind of sacrifice stuff, is in the cargo area and the rear space. That's really not the case with the Q5 Sportback because it's only around 2 cubic feet smaller than the regular Q5. So you're coming in at 24 cubic feet behind the second row seats. That expands all the way up to 51 cubic feet. And that is larger than the QX55 as well as the Mercedes GLC Coupe. And really there's just a lot of space back here. Now, as far as how they finished it, of course this is an Audi product, so we have a really nice carpeting. We have LED illumination around. And then if we lift up the floor here, we do have a spare tire. And the seats do fold 40-20-40 split. Now here at your passenger seat, you do have the same adjustments as the driver's. And then if we look at the glove box, this is one area where the Audi Q5 has always shined. So we have a really nice felt lining, we have LED illumination, and as far as how the coupons fit in, I mean, this is one of the largest glove boxes you can get on any vehicle, so I'm incredibly impressed, and we could just put coupons for years and years worth of coupons in there. And then as far as the sun visor, we have a nice mirror as well as LED lighting, and we can also detach and extend.
Just kind of briefly taking off there. We'll get up to a little faster speed in here in a second, but in this Q5 Sportback, this is of course going to have the same powertrain as the regular Q5, which is
it's a good one.
yeah, very spunky 4-cylinder engine. So this is the 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder, updated with the 12-volt mild hybrid, which gives it a little bit of a boost in power, now to 261 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah, it really has a lot of pull to it, and you know, one of the things that we really love so much about these German 2-liter 4-cylinders is just how refined it is. It's a very, very refined motor that just delivers power effortlessly and blends right into the background when you don't want it to.
Right, it's very quiet and just gets the job done.
Yeah, that's 60.
Yeah, and you get up to 60 miles an hour in, I believe, about 6 seconds. So this is a pretty quick guy.
Now while we're going at speed here, I will get a sound level reading for us.
Take us up to 55 here.
We're looking at 55.4 decibels. And I just now realized that that's playing music, so it might be a little bit less than that, but around 54 decibels is a very, very good reading for any type of luxury vehicle, and it certainly seems very quiet in here. And I also want to talk about just the whole luxury feel of this. The Q5, although it is a German luxury vehicle, this is going to be on the softer side. This is not like a hard-edge sports car by any means, so it's really more comfort focused. And you know, this is just a really, really comfortable car. You hit a bump and it really just soaks it up well, and I really have no complaints about it.
Right, I'm not really discerning that this is sportier than the normal Q5. This is a styling exercise mostly. It's about having that extra sport style and just something that's a little bit cooler than your neighbor's Q5. But yeah, this is not going to be hard edge or anything super exciting behind the wheel. That's what the SQ5 will be for, and of course you can eventually be able to get the SQ5 with the Sportback too.
Yeah.
So we can also talk about the transmission. This has got a 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. As always, this is a good transmission. Really nice and refined, nice and smooth, which not every dual clutch is, while also keeping the advantages of having the fast shifts. And it hasn't been too long ago we drove what is a competitor to this, which would be the Infiniti QX55. And I will say, of course, I do like the dual clutch better than the continuously variable in that model.
Yeah, the whole powertrain on this is going to be a lot better than that if you are cross-shopping it between the two. And this does come standard with Quattro all-wheel drive as well. And as far as the fuel economy, since I was mentioning it's only one engine and all-wheel drive, it's going to come in at 25 miles a gallon combined, which actually is at the very top of the segment in terms of fuel economy. So not only is this powerful, but that mild hybrid also helps you to have very solid fuel economy for the segment. Alrighty, and now it is slam dunk and airball time. Since we were talking about that powertrain earlier, that is going to be today's slam dunk. Is just, this has a lot of refinement. It's very peppy in the engine, and that paired with the dual clutch transmission is a very, very, very good combo. And especially if you're cross shopping it with something like a QX55, that's going to be a big advantage.
Now, on the airball side of things, we're going to say the pricing of this particular model, you are going to pay a good premium for having the Sportback trim, or the Sportback model, versus the regular Q5. And that causes you to, like for this specific example, is not particularly affordable, while, you know, missing some stuff like virtual cockpit and having the base trim level cabin.
Yeah, so this one, as equipped, is going to be a touch under $51,000 at $50,795. And something like a QX55 that we just did recently, that was in its base trim as well, but that was about $5,000 less expensive and had more equipment. Now, as far as the pricing for the rest of them, Premium start at $47,800, Premium Plus $51,000, and the Prestige is $56,500, which is about a $4,500 price premium over the base Q5.
So to conclude here, who should buy this Q5 Sportback? I think the type of person that should be interested in this is someone who just wants a little bit extra injection of style, but without changing the core fundamentals of the Q5 that have always been so strong, because that's really exactly what this delivers. It also doesn't compromise as much as some of the other crossover coupes that this competes with, because you still retain a great deal of cargo volume and headspace, as well as the panoramic sunroof. So I really feel like you just get that little bit of injection of style, but without making any sacrifices.
Well guys, that's going to wrap up this in-depth review of the 2021 Audi Q5 Sportback. Really appreciate you watching this video, and if you made it this far, I know that means you probably enjoyed watching, hopefully, or at least found it helpful. So be sure to help us out by hitting that subscribe button down below. It's completely free, and all it's going to do is give you notifications on our most recent content and help you to join in on the Car Confections family. So be sure to do that and tap the notification bell. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.